Alright, hello. So it is Sunday, October 8th, 2023, and I have to do another weekly reading wrap up. This was a great reading wrap up because I was very, very interested in getting my book wall under 2,000 so that I could use my passes. So I read a lot of books this past week. I'm not even going to count them. Let's get into them. First up, I did finish up The State of Us by Sean David Hutchinson. This is a story about the children of two rival presidential candidates who fall in love. And I think that a big reason why this didn't get a lot of the same hype that I think it could have gotten is that it did come out after Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I know is not about rival U.S. political candidates, but it's still kind of a similar kind of deal. And it's also an interesting thing about this book was that the Republican candidate was not entirely demonized. Like the terrible man that they both wanted to defeat was an independent, a la, he seemed very Elon Musky is my thing. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't by far my least favorite Hutchinson book. It also wasn't by far my favorite. The characters were interesting. I do think that it does read a lot like a YA Red, White, and Royal Blue. That's my thought. And I think that's a very common thought. So yeah, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't really anything special, I'm gonna say. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was okay. You know, like it was okay. After that, I read my first of many R.L. Stine books this week, because like I said, I was really trying to get underneath that 2,000 mark so that I could use my passes, and I did. But the first one I read is from the Hall of Horrors Goosebumps series, which is Why Quit Zombie School, which is about this young man who his parents are enrolled him in a new boarding school when they move, and it turns out the school is a zombie school and all of his classmates are dead. And it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was a fun time. I think the Hall of Horrors and the Most Wanted series are not bad. I don't know how I feel, but I haven't read any of the Slappy-Rolled books, I don't think, yet. And Horrorland is kind of meh. Series 2000 is just a little bit wonky, but I do think Most Wanted and Hall of Horrors are kind of, I mean, they don't really match the joys of the original Goosebumps books, but they're kind of getting there, you know? I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It was a really fun time. And after that, I finished a book that I started months ago. I want to say almost a year ago. So this book was one of the books that back when I was teaching high school, I had novel studies. Kids did novel studies. They got to pick their own book. I would read it. I read assignments for them based on the book. They would read it. And this one was long because this kid, he was a senior. He graduated. He only picked the longest motherfucking books that you could ever fucking think of. And this one, I never finished it. I wrote the last assignment is always the easiest to write because it's a lot of like, how did you find it? Do you think the ending of the book was good? Do you think it matched blah, 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 blah. And so it didn't really ever require me to actually finish the book. But I'm a completionist. I will finish every book I start. And so this just went right back into the book wall and I finally just picked it up and finished it. And that is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. And so, as I just said, I'm a completionist. I finish every book I start. That wasn't always the case. And in fact, one of the 2 books that I can think of that I have never finished was by Christopher Paolini. And I don't like this man. I'm sure he's a lovely man. I don't like this man's writing. I don't. This is a science fiction book, which already that puts a knock against it for me. I'm not a huge science fiction fan. And these people, they're in space. They find this, I'm trying to remember back to when I started the goddamn thing, which was a long time ago. They go and they're on this new planet and they find this interesting place. The kind of main character kind of falls into it and she ends up getting infected by this certain thing that kind of puts this suit around her and it kills all of her friends and everything. And then there's these other things that want to kill them through the jellies, and I just, oh my god, 2 out of 5 stars. Yeah, now I have another book by this that this young man chose that I will have to finish, but at least that one is a Locke Lamora book, so it's more fun. But yeah, I did finish it. Finally, I finished To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Finally. We got another Goosebumps one. We have Even More Tales to Give You Goosebumps, 10 Spooky Stories. This is just a bunch of different stories, short stories. 4 out of 5 stars. Don't have much else to say. Then I read And the Mountains Echoed by Khaled Hosseini, which is, I've read A Thousand Splendid Suns. I have not yet read The Kite Runner, but I know it's in the book wall. This is about people in this certain part of Afghanistan. I guess 2 different parts. And each chapter is told from the point of view of a different person that does somehow connect back to all the other parts. And it was really interesting. It was a really good story, and a really interesting story. I think it didn't take me long to finish it all. I mean, it's about 400 pages long, and it was very, very quick. Yeah, I am excited to read The Kite Runner. I think it'll be a good experience. I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a good time. I think obviously Hosseini is, you know, he's people like him for a reason, you know. It's a good time. After that, I did reread what I do currently consider my favorite book. That is Beartown by Frederick Backman. It made me cry again. I love it so much. It's so fucking good. This is also my 350th book that I finished this year, which is super fun. That I've read this book 3 fucking times this year, and I have counted it every time, but I'm just like 3 times this year. I probably won't read again for a while, but I'm like, oh boy. But Beartown, if you're unaware, is the story of this small town in Sweden named Beartown, and they're a dying town. Like, their town is, they've got a factory and they've got like a supermarket, but like the factory is, people are losing more and more jobs every year, and all their hopes right now are riding on their youth hockey team. And so these are like 16, 17-year-old kids they're really, really good. And they're like, if these kids can win this championship, then, you know, maybe then they will build like a hockey school in Beartown, and then jobs will come back, and maybe we'll get like a mall, and it'll be fantastic. But unfortunately, the morning that they are set to go, their star player gets arrested for raping a girl at a party. And it is like the story of like this whole town, the story of these kids, the story about like making the right choice, the story about all these. It's so goddamn good. I love it so much. I love the entire Beartown trilogy so much. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, it's I love the characters. Benji owns my whole heart. This is the book that made me care about hockey. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, no, it really was instrumental. So my college got a hockey team, and I was like, I'll go watch a hockey game, and it was like fun. And then I read this book, and I was like, oh yeah, I care now, and that's why the Boys books turned into hockey books sometimes. But that's that. Put a picture of Hit or Miss right here. That's where that came from. But yeah, no, this is if you have not yet read Beartown and the 2 sequels, I want to reread Us Against You, because I feel like I don't remember a lot of it. I mean, The Winners was one of my favorite books, last year, but 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. After that, I read a book that was a little bit less good. But again, I consider Beartown to be my favorite book, so it's not hard for me to consider a book less good than Beartown. That's Tosh Hearts Tolstoy by Catherine Ormsby, which is about this girl who, her and her friends are making this modern day adaptation of Anna Karenina on YouTube. And they, like, overnight they kind of start going viral, and then they start, getting more fans. They get, invited to this place, like this kind of like a YouTube awards thing. And the main character is asexual, and I feel like a lot of the people talking about this book were talking about because the main character was asexual, and this book is old enough that was kind of like a really, really insane thing. There weren't that many characters. And then Let's Talk About Love came out, and that one is, I haven't read that one, but I've heard that one's a lot better, and so then people kind of moved on to that one. This one didn't really seem to have that much of a point. So it just didn't, like the main character, I couldn't really stand any of the characters, I'm not gonna lie. Her older sister made me so annoyed constantly, and I liked Paul. That was pretty, and I liked George, even though he was a jackass. Like, he knew he was a jackass. All the other characters were not aware, apparently. There just didn't seem to be a point to this book. It just seemed like I read it and I was like, alright, now what? Like, okay, that's fine, whatever. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And then I'm just gonna go through these kind of rapid fire, because I read on Friday night, I read 6 Goosebumps books because I wanted to get under 2,000 in the book wall, and so I'm just gonna pick 6 Goosebumps books and just read them one after another. So the first 2 I read were some of the TV episode ones, which are like really like shortened up versions that are based on the episode. So I had The Girl Who Cried Monster and The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. I gave Girl Who Cried Monster 3 stars, and I think I gave Cuckoo Clock of Doom 3 stars as well. I've got Cry of the Cat, which is a Series 2000 book, which I gave 2 2.75 stars. And then I read two of the Most Wanted books. I really enjoyed them, actually. I really liked both of them. The first one that I'm going to show up, I think I liked a little bit more, but both of them were really fun. So, Night of the Puppet People, which I think I gave 5 out of 5. I gave Night of the Puppet People 5 out of 5 stars. And then Frankenstein's Dog, which I gave 4 out of 5. So yeah, these were really fun, and I'm excited to read more of the Most Wanted books. Like I said, I've been liking the Most Wanted books and Hall of Horrors. Horrorland is really not that good, but we'll see. I think I've got more of those. And then I did read a traditional one, or The Girl Who Cried Monster. So yeah, that's what I read this past week. Hold on one sec. So these are the books I read this past week. All these books. I granted, it was like the last 40 pages of this book, and I'm just like finally done with it. That's great. But yeah, these are the books I read this past week. That is all for today. I'll talk to you later, and goodbye.